AuditLA.
Good morning. Chief, I just have a clarifying question about the Van Nuys homicide. Is that the same one? Because like in North Hollywood, they think it's North Hollywood. So is there two separate homicides, or was it kind of near the border of North Hollywood? That's my one question. And also, I just want to let you know, I did keep my promise. On Easter Sunday, I had my rights violated at Scientology. I can't call it a church. And the police came and they made them honor the Constitution and my rights, which is not normally the what happens when, sadly, whenever the police are called and dealing with Scientology, but they did. And I said I was going to put commendations in for them because I want to give, I want to encourage every time it's done right. I think I'm quick, I'll complain too, I'll put a complaint in, but I'm going to also do what I said, and I did. So just to let you know, I appreciate those two officers, and they deserve. Now, the last time I was here, it didn't end very well, Ms. Shields. Laura is here again. She is a victim. She was born and raised in Scientology, and she and Serge, who was here before, are the reasons I fight so passionately. To me, it's unbelievable that there are people in this city that grew up, born and raised, and were abused, tortured, mentally, physically, every different way, okay, put in their own jail, like they have a jail system. I don't know if you realize that. And they are why I am so passionate. And she wasn't treated very well. I'm sorry, she doesn't know about procedures of these meetings. All you have, when she's saying, do you hear me? All you have to say, Ms. Commissioner Shields, just for learning, I'm not trying to come at you, but all you have to say is that, because of Brown Act, I can't answer you. But the meeting's over, and but instead of threatening to get her out, and see, that's what happens is I don't want to ever get thrown out of a meeting. It's not my style, but I'm going to stand up for the victims, especially since I'm the one who's been bugging her to come here to tell her story. The police need to hear. They need to know, even if you can't help her, you can always say statute of limitations. This city needs to know what is going on in this city and why she's protesting. And her father is stuck in that blue building. They will not give her access to him. They will not give her a wellness check on him. And he is also, I've never met the man, but I'm fighting for him too. I don't hate Scientologists. I hate what their organization, how they treat people and the abuses they do, and and the fraud that they commit and all these different things. In fact, their lawyer, Kendrick Moxon, he's trying to get me in trouble with the city attorney because he says, oh, she keeps coming to these meetings, demand that they enforce all the everything against them. Well, he didn't say we're innocent. He didn't say there's nothing to enforce. He just said, I'm upset. He's upset because I'm begging the city to enforce what is enforceable, because they're so used to having decades of they could do whatever they want. But those days are over because people are watching and speaking up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Laura.
Hi, I was here 2 weeks ago. My PTSD has gotten a little bit better. I first just wanted to bring up, one of my main points last time was if you guys could take 10 minutes to look up Operation Snow White and how Scientology infiltrated the government and got their IRS tax status. It sounds like a weird thing, sounds like a conspiracy, but it really happened, and I was one of the kids during that time. Why I'm bringing this up is you brought up fake swatting calls that are happening. There's a lot of fake swatting calls that have happened, and I know you've heard about them on protesters like myself and other major protesters that have really been exposing the exact crimes like child trafficking and the Operation Snow White, and how lawyers like Kendrick Moxon are still putting protesters in jail on hate crime felonies, like there's 6 hate crime felonies on one protester right now for removing city property that was never put there by city. It was put there by Scientology because they have the city beans or the street closures that still, for some reason, they're allowed to access, Same thing with fire department. They say, oh, it's okay, we have the security guard's phone number. No, that's how little things like this happen where they get away with getting fake permits for road closures when really they're having big fundraising events or recruiting, child recruitment events, or they'll use the R1 visa to get people in across the country and then recruit their family and kids and say, you can be here because we have religious status, you can be here, we have your family. Then once they're here, they're monitoring their every move and every camera, everything. So they use that information, blackmail later, to get back at that family from not wanting to leave Scientology at all, but thinking like, oh, this is their only way to freedom. And then they eventually recruit them into the Sea organization, the billionaire contract that I told you guys about earlier. Kendrick Moxon is putting these protesters, people like me and a bunch of other people, protesters, sending the prosecutor, LA prosecutor, who also is trying to get some protester law right pushed through. But you have Kendrick Moxon from Scientology, 40 years later, putting the protesters on a protester law that has nothing to do with the protesting of Scientology. Scientology is not a cult. Scientology is a cult. It's not a religion. Look up Operation Snow White. Look up why this is so intense, why there are protesters literally trying to say Scientology traffics children. Stop giving them the permits for L. Ron Hubbard Way. Give other people like myself permits for that road that they overtook by just naming it L. Ron Hubbard Way. There should be parking meters. I live 2 blocks away from that blue building. My father is there. I'm not gonna leave. I will be loud and loud and loud, and I will come back here with less and less PTSD to be able to explain that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Next comes in, we have Jill.
Hi, I'm gonna still take the 3 minutes, okay? You just discussed the swatting calls. You're so concerned with the swatting calls? What about the swatting calls of, Scott Hawkstead? The last swatting call I saw of Scott Hawkstead was on L. Ron Hubbard Way, when I saw them pull up on him like it was, like a big major, invasion in a World War II theater. I saw the total incompetence on the live streams. You guys sat around like you didn't know what to do. You didn't see any crimes happening. Mr. Hawkstead didn't do anything. You guys looked like I was watching an episode of Reno 911. I thought I was watching a real funny episode of like a Keystone Cops parody. It was total embarrassment. If you had any other police officer across this country, or let's get this, how about we have Grady Judd? He's one of the funniest sheriffs out of Florida, Polk County. I'm sure you've seen plenty of YouTube videos on him. He would totally roast you guys. It's just a joke. We're trying to expose the criminality of a cult that is doing such atrocities against people, crimes of humanity that you would see being tried in tribunals like they were done at Judgment at Nuremberg, when the Nazis said they were just following orders. Are you just following orders? Whose orders are you guys following? It's unbelievable what I'm seeing. This is not an hate crime. Mr. Hockman, you fellow Jew, what the hell are you doing pressing charges on a hate crime when Mr. Hawkstead is fighting the very crimes that was done to our people during the Holocaust in Auschwitz and Plaszow and Buchenwald and Dachau and Drancy and all of the ghettos all across Europe? How dare you do this? Why don't you do some homework, all of you, and see what's going on inside the cult? The Anti-Defamation League would laugh their butts off at you if you said that removing a wreath is a hate crime. Hate crimes are actually breaking glass like on Kristallnacht, like totally putting swastikas all over buildings. This is not being done to the Scientology building. We're trying to expose crime that you would shudder if it were done to your children. Wake up. This is disgusting. Bye.
Great job, Amy. Great job.
Next we have Lynn.
Just to continue on where Hamid left off, this is a farce. It's theater, it's performance. This reporting is incomplete, and it's entirely performative. And I think I want to uplift two things particularly. One, Your officers are largely ideologically aligned with the violence that we see perpetuated among them folks. Unconstitutional, I'm using that in quotes because from our standpoint, the Constitution is a framework for oppression. It's not a means of protection. But the unconstitutional deportation of young people. And we hear that from your officers, right? From the folks who dial in, right? Who are clearly police officers who are disgruntled in some way, who invoke Chief McDonald's name in making the LAPD great again. This mirroring of language isn't a coincidence. It's a dogwism, right? And it's very clear. And so, the other thing I kind of want to name is how ubiquitous this information sharing is. Last week, the Washington Post reported how the United States Postal Service and their policing arm, the Postal Inspection Service, is also collaborating with ICE to share information. And they're sharing, quote, Postal Service online account data, package and mailing tracking information, credit card data, and financial material and IP addresses. So there's so many redundancies built in, as folks have named out. Other agencies are in play, even innocuous and benign services. And with this ideological alignment, it's no surprise that we see the LAPD jump in to provide traffic support for ICE raids, as we've seen in this city in the past couple of months. And so just to say, this is bullshit. Secondly, I want to bring up, it was May Day recently, International Workers' Day. And we saw an insufferable tweet from a Skid Row police officer named Dion Joseph, who brutalized Skid Row members routinely. One kind of suggesting that the LAPD somehow provides protection in this time of protest. We also had 3 LAPD officers at MacArthur Park show up and intimidate protesters. And just to say, the history of LAPD and policing has been one of squashing dissent, squashing protest. And so I'm really pleased that people even uplifted this kind of interest and policy to criminalize protest further that popped up last year, specifically around houses of worship. That was pushed by Councilmember Katie Yaroslavsky and by the LAPD. And it was opposed by SEIU, UHW, the labor union, UTLA, the teachers union, Jewish Voice for Peace, so many community organizations. But the LAPD did go around along with Katie Yaroslavsky's office trying to lobby support for this motion. And in the Las Feliz neighborhood council specifically, the Church of Scientology showed up and explicitly supported this protest motion that everybody opposed, that lawyers called unconstitutional, in order to more readily brutalize and criminalize protesters' lawsuit. And it's not just going to be people opposing Scientology, it's going to be anybody. That's the police's function. It's to squash protest. And so, just to name, this institution is to do violence, and you guys welcome to talk. Go ahead.
Thank you for that.
And they had, on that thing, they had a, history month, they had a woman who had
Hi,
a.
can you hear me?
Sir, we have a speaker on Zoom. Please allow the person to speak. Thank you.
So I'm just giving y'all.
Please allow this person to speak. You have your 3 minutes.
I would love to speak on all I think.
In the white sweatshirt, this is your personal last warning. You're welcome.
Thank you. Chief, you mentioned the French government and the Olympics at the beginning of this speech. Did you know that in France, Scientology is considered a harmful cult, and that the French government issued a warning against recruitment outside of the Olympic Stadium during the French Olympic Games in Paris? Last week you had Lara Anderson, thank you for coming back, Lara, another child victim of the Scientology abuses, come to you asking for help to bring Scientology to account and cut your ties. They have been safe pointed. For years, LAPD has been in the pockets of them from the 60s. It's documented. I have sent you a letter and a video proof of a child who ran away from strangers' houses in the neighborhood of the Blue Building, begging for them not to call LAPD because LAPD has their own division that works directly with Scientology. Janet Whelan, Kirsten Catano Peterson, Hendrik Moxon all know about these abuses and have been silencing people for years. Look what happened to Paulette Cooper during Operation Snow White, the biggest infiltration of the US government by Scientology. It was found that they had framed Paulette Cooper, one of their biggest critics, with a bomb threat. It was all documented. Separate yourself away from them. They are a harmful cult and you are complicit. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Thank you. Now,
You know, was it Kendrick Moxon and Jennifer?
They weren't attorneys. They were.
Was
I think they're actually
Janet Whelan?
Yeah, elder lady with short black hair and really short but nicely dressed.
It was like an older white lady and an older white man. I don't remember their names precisely, but I think they were trying to join the Public Safety Committee for the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council.
Yeah.
So if you look
Yeah,
at
sounds
the
like-
attendees for that meeting, I'm sure
So Los Feliz, when was this? Like back,
this would have been.
so I knew they were supporting it, but I didn't know that they actually took a tour. Yeah, we need to do more.
No, they
So
were
it's
there
Los
to support
Feliz?
it. George What's the Peace, myself, and a couple of like an attorney were there to oppose it, and they were there to. vocally-
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to find out. So it's the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council. I get the CPRA.
Yeah, and then it was the
Thank you
Public
for
Safety
speaking up.
Committee specifically,
This
yeah.
Public Safety Committee.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I knew they supported it because I seen CPRAs where they're pushing for that, but I didn't know they're going like in person.
Yeah.
So that is really helpful. So thank you.
Specific case that Scott Hawkstead is, they put 16 misdemeanors and 6 felonies.
For using a bullhorn.
For using
They're
bullhorn.
saying it's a hate crime because they have 12.
Drive, where they
They tried
use
that
them
in Skid Row with our.
Yeah, fucking,
Yeah.
no.
I remember when they dropped the Constitution for Skid Row. Even
Like,
That's wild.
that's so insane. And
If
who's
they're
on
saying
it?
it's hate
Kendrick
crime.
Moxon. So, yeah.
It was Wednesday, November 13th. Was the specific day.
Hey guys, remember, somebody text me that, somebody email me that date because I guess I could, or clip this please. November 16th, 13th. Los Feliz Public Safety. I'll CPRA it.
It was public safety.
But then there's probably others as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll just, if I have to do all, I'll do.
It seems like they might like go to that meeting pretty
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they have a bunch of little, they have their missions there. They have a lot of Los Feliz is very Scientology.
Is it? Yeah, and it's right near the blue
A
building.
lot of Scientologists live in Los Feliz.
That makes sense.
They live there for a while. Me too.
Yes.
Oh my God. I always get the stupid PTSD, and it's just something I physically can't shake off. I can't.
Were you there when I got kicked out because they were going to kick her?
Yeah, yeah.
There was like Russia was
So I
so
hate
rude
yeah,
to
you
her.
kinda, you know, the minute you're like, and I'm like, did you hear? At least just say you heard what I said.
I mean-
and they wouldn't answer, and I was like, why? That's not illegal to just say yes, I heard you.
No, for sure.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
I mean, they're going to say
You're
Brown
making
Act,
me feel like
whatever,
a
but
fucking cock. I'm begging
but even
the
still to
fucking
explain
abuser.
that. I said
That's
just
what it feels like.
explain.
I'm begging for approval from the
It's
abuser
an abusive space. Yeah, they're just, it's all performative.
and from the people who never
Don't
were there.
violate the Brown Act for other things, you know, things
Yes.
that are keeping time to time, just like Harold was.
Well,
just now, so-
he always interrupts speakers, and he interrupts a lot of our speakers. I've noticed a
Like,
lot of
who
our
made
speakers. He
him-
interrupts them for people who aren't even really
Who's training?
disrupting.
Is there a
Like,
training
nobody's.
where they actually train them to be like that?
No,
That's
this is-
that's a group fucking agreement.
Yeah,
thing.
well, they're
That's a
picked. They're
job.
handpicked.
Literally, yeah. That's what I was like,
They're
yeah.
handpicked by
Yeah,
who they want. But Rasha, people, now Rasha herself, she came to the public safety of Toluca Lake and asked them to please write a letter of support for LAPD because their officers are, what do you call it? I guess need encouragement. And I said to her face, like, I don't think that's her job to do that. Her job, like, is to, it's really to be accountability. Why are you soliciting neighborhood councils to give kisses and hugs to the police officers?
Might
That's
be
not her job.
elucidating her real job, you know? That could be what that is.
Maybe.
Yeah, take off.
All right.
I appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that so much.
Hearing your guys' perspective.
Yeah.
On everything you guys are fighting for. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Why do you think you can do this?
All my chat, they always love you. They're all. That's why I stay for all you guys too. My chat. Yeah, a lot of people will hear you guys, and they all appreciate you.
These guys are for hire.
Literally, Scientology hires them all the fucking time.
They give them a lot of money. People don't understand. People need to wake up about Scientology. They pay a lot of money.
So I feel like it's the same police officers every time there's an issue, and they fucking hate us. So it's like, you guys are insane. You guys are a gang. This is a gang. Scientology's a gang. You're doing everything. You literally have the police in your pockets. You're fucking gang. You're not a religion. You're not even.
Yeah, they give a lot of money to LAPD too, and I think they do it through the police league.
donation. They repainted
Oh, I have
the
to go
whole
this way.
inside. The
I
whole
know.
way.
I have to go this way. I have to go for the. I can't go down the stairs. Okay, guys, that was really good. I know I probably missed public comment over there, but that was worth it.